Welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast with K Double and Alpha. Boys, take it away. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me, Double K Double, and I am back with the one and only Alpha. What is up, brother?
How we doing? We're back again, once again, and this time we're back to talking comics for the second time in a row. This time we're doing a bit of a special because we're going to sit around and talk No Way Home.
Oh yeah. Couldn't go much longer without talking about this bad boy. Tom Holland, bravo to you, sir. Bravo. You played a very complex character in this particular Spider-Man, and did a very good job of it. For those of you who don't know, basically No Way Home picks up immediately after, and I mean immediately after the ending of Far From Home. And right as J. Jonah Jameson himself is revealing to the world that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And of course, somehow everybody in the neighborhood now knows that MJ is his girlfriend and starts harassing
within
her.
A fucking instant, apparently.
Yeah, like she's never mentioned during J. Jonah Jameson's entire clip. And all of a sudden, dude just turns around, aren't you his girlfriend? Yeah, you. Like, really,
and suddenly
dude?
It's the whole city within a fucking instant.
Yeah. So, but needless to say, Peter picks up MJ, takes her away, and Peter then gets arrested. No, was it before or after Peter gets arrested that we get our first cameo? Our first major cameo. After. Yep. So Peter gets arrested. He gets interrogated. Ned gets interrogated, which is hilarious.
Fucking interrogated.
I love the fact that MJ has rejected the Watson, which is like that is her name. Like it's either MJ or Mary Jane Watson. Like that's her name. Not this one. Not in this one. She's Michelle Jones. Leave her alone. So
that was fucking hilarious. But
that was,
for all intents and purposes, for me, that actually made things fit a lot better. You know, that makes everything about her whole character fit a lot better. I prefer it.
For sure. Like it definitely separates her MJ from any other MJ that existed. Even though in the Amazing Spider-Man it was Gwen, they went with the Gwen, not or MJ.
We had Gwen Stacy as the focal point.
But anyway, so we get through that. They get interrogated. We come to Peter Parker's house. And guess who just happens to be sitting in his living room discussing his case with him, Aunt May, and Happy? That's right. Charlie Cox, otherwise known
fucking Murdoch.
Matt fucking Murdock, otherwise known as the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil. Why one of only like 3 people that actually clapped in the theater? I was so disappointed. I'm like,
exactly. I was like, literally, I was like the only one that fucking reacted.
Y'all can't even give credit where credit's due and give them credit for keeping it hidden until the movie came out. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk. Like they kept it hidden until the movie came out. Charlie Cox straight up denied, and actually he didn't lie though. All he said was that wasn't his arm in that scene that they showed. That's all he said, and he was telling the truth. It wasn't his arm.
That wasn't his arm. He wasn't lying. He wasn't fucking lying. So this is where I do get into my first actual critique of this movie. I didn't even get to say, first and foremost, this movie was fucking great. Love this movie to death. It was fucking amazing, top to fucking bottom. I loved it. But this for me is the one moment that probably most felt just like fucking fan service. Only because he kind of comes and says, I'm your lawyer now, catches a brick, and then dips for the rest of the fucking movie. And don't get me wrong, it was an amazing fucking moment. Like, I fucking loved seeing him, and I
I'm
marked
a
the
really
fuck
good
out.
lawyer.
It was great. Exactly. I'm a really good lawyer. Best fucking line ever. It was great. That
It's
being
amazing.
said, though, it's just if this is one of those things that solidifies him as 100% factual, the MCU Daredevil, and this is just the beginning of other projects with Charlie Cox, awesome. I'm down with it. But if this is just kind of a little moment to not ever come back to, this is horrible. Hate it. I'm sad.
No. Well, no. Well, first and foremost, it's already pretty much all been confirmed that he will have some part in the Echo series.
Yeah, exactly.
When they're shooting that, like he will be on. So we will see Charlie Cox again. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. And there's another Marvel character that we'll talk about in the second half of the show that I'm expecting back, despite what the fans think. I'm expecting him back.
We're probably talking about the same one then. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
But needless to say, yes, you're correct. Like Charlie Cox just shows up for the beginning scene, dips, and is never seen again for the rest of the movie.
Get me wrong, it was an amazing moment though. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the moment. It was awesome.
So Spider-Man basically gets like super upset, and like when it comes to fruition that basically MIT, which is the school him, MJ, and Ned were all hoping to go to, basically rejects all three of them because they don't want nothing to do with Peter Parker or anybody that has anything to do with Peter Parker. So this pushes Peter to go to the Sanctum Sanctorum and beg Doctor Strange to erase everybody's minds and so that nobody remembers he's Peter, so that but MJ and Ned have a solid chance at getting into MIT.
Yeah.
So he comes there, my guy now. I told you he's my one of my favorite guys now, easily top 2. Wong. He's like, look, y'all.
Wong.
Like, I don't really think this is some shit y'all should be doing, but you know, Strange is gonna fucking do what Strange fucking does. So you know what? I'm out. Just don't fucking involve my ass. Peace. I love it. Like that's Wong's entire role in the MCU throughout the beginning of Phase 4. He just kind of jumps in, goes, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" Like, not, you know what? Just
leave me the fuck out of it.
Yeah, just leave me the fuck out of it. And he jumps out of the frame.
Chad Wong says, "Fuck you, going to the Himalayas."
Yeah. Now, what becomes one of the funnier moments in the movie? Peter, being a typical teenage young man, does not think it through when he comes to ask Strange. And so waits until Strange begins to cast a spell to realize, oh yeah, MJ's not going to know who I am. No, can my girlfriend still remember who I am? Okay, your girlfriend. Can oh yeah, my Aunt May, can she still remember? Because that was the whole thing. Okay, your Aunt May. Like 6 different times he changes this spell, and Strange is like, God damn it.
Fucking up the shit up. Fucking the shit up, kid.
And so because of Peter's teenageness, I'll call it, we end up getting multiple things that cross over. And we don't really see the first one of them till this hilarious scene when Peter goes to try to catch the woman from MIT, who, by the way, is played by the actress who plays the lead of the criminalistics department of the CSI department on CSI Vegas, on the new CSI Vegas. She plays the head of that. Yeah. But she's in Spider-Man as the what was it? The administrator for MIT.
Yeah, the administrator for MIT.
Yeah. And so they Peter's in the process of trying to talk to her and convince her to let Ned and MJ go to MIT when who all shows up? The 8-legged freak, the man everybody loves to hate, the one and only Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Describe that moment for you, sir.
God, yeah, man. The arc that this character had is one that I couldn't have think he would have had, but it was fucking great from beginning to end. You know, I'm really happy that he was the one first introduced because out of all of them, he's probably the one who had the most pivotal role throughout this fucking movie. But that all being said, it was fucking amazing, and like every other moment in this movie, I marked the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
Like this was the first, the first one that just real fucking freak out, you know.
Hell yeah. Just like,
Um, but
yo.
but this is where we do properly begin with whether they're translated into this universe. And
Yeah.
so I do want to say that an interesting point going along with each of them hitting into the MCU is it's not only there's that aspect of they've all aged up to this point.
Mm.
When they get transported into the MCU, their clothes and the way they look are just slightly twisted. And as we're going along, I'm going to keep going with that. But Doc Ock is the first one, and his is only a slight twist, but it's still noticeable. But I like
Yeah.
it though; it's awesome. It's like the differences between 616 and Ultimate versions is what I'm trying to say here, and that's going to be the prevailing theme here with all of their designs.
Very much so. And now here's what this also led to one of the funniest scenes in the whole thing as Doc Ock like smashes into Peter's uniform or his suit, and the nanobots get sucked up into the octopus hand. And he's like, huh, Peter, as it goes all the way down his octopus arms. And then all of a sudden, Peter's like, huh. Oh, look. Now Peter has control of Doc Ock's arms.
Because MCU Peter has Stark tech.
Yep. Something that Doc Ock has never really dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doc Ock is preceded by my favorite, or not preceded, but succeeded by my favorite Spider-Man villain, Willem Dafoe himself, and the Green Goblin, as you see the little bomb drop out, tink, tink, tink.
Yep.
Kaboom! Yeah. Now, mind you, this has been something where Doctor Strange basically brings what? I think Green Goblin gets away after this fight, but he brings Doc Ock back to the thing. And says that he had been fighting. They didn't show us the scene, but we find out that Doctor Strange has been fighting Krot.
Dr. Kurt Connors, the lizard.
Yes. And yes, that's a fight I would have loved to see.
God, yes, I would have loved to have actually seen that fucking fight, right?
But so just to keep it moving forward, because we only got a few minutes left here. Which, by the way, change of plans. We'll discuss Spider-Man through the end of this segment, and then we'll talk the Doctor Strange trailer after break.
Deal.
Cool. All right. So anyway, so but yeah, so like then Peter gets back to base, and then there's this whole big deal where Doctor Strange takes Peter into the multiverse because Peter stops him from sending back, who was it?
All of them.
All of them. Yeah.
You skipped a few pieces at this point, but this is after they get Electro, after they get Goblin, and after they get Sandman all into their respective pods.
Right. I forgot Sandman showed up. Yeah, Sandman showed up at the same time.
Just to go through that really quick, in one quick scene, Electro shows up in the form that he was in before he died, as in basically Electro when he's just all energy and he's purely just sentient fucking energy traveling through cords and wires and open sockets and shit. He gets into a fight with MCU Spider-Man and Sandman in the mindset of as in the end of Spider-Man 3 where he was last seen, knows Spider-Man and he's friends with him, so he instantly goes and helps him. And then we have a small little fight, 2-on-1 fight where they beat Electro, and Electro materializes then once again into his MCU form, where now we have Max as Electro, and in the MCU, he is not a fucking dork with a comb over with bad teeth who stutters and can hardly talk, but instead he is now a complete and utter fucking Chad with waves, good teeth, a nice goatee, and like a chiseled fucking body.
And he even comments on that.
Exactly. No, as we go through later in the movie, when we eventually get to our other crossovers, the other Spider-Man comments, "You had a fucking comb over, dude." Like, yeah, as we see here, they're translated, and then to Sandman now, translated into MCU version. You'll notice that throughout the course of this movie, he never materializes as a human.
Yeah.
Until the end when he's cured, right? Because in this particular universe, the Sandman can't materialize as a human. He can materialize sand in the shape of a human,
right?
But he can't malform back into a human as we saw him do in like Spider-Man 3, right?
Well, and that's the one thing I did notice, like, because I was talking to somebody about why a certain Spider-Man was aged up, but the villains weren't. And I said, you have to think about it like this. What a strange state. He says that they've come from basically the moment that they died in their timelines. So of course, none of them would be would look any different than exactly the way they looked when they died. Exactly. So that's why people like Alfred Molina, who are obviously like 15, 20 years older now, were aged back a little bit to the way they looked in that Spider-Man movie. And so like that was huge to me, like that they were brought back to exactly that moment, because that's when they died fighting Spider-Man.
Exactly.
So we went from there to now they have all of them. Strange tries to send them all back, basically effectively killing them, because he's sending them back to the moment when they died in their own timeline.
So they will die.
Right, so they will die. And Peter then proceeds to say, no, I want to help them instead of killing them. Well, that doesn't exactly work out in Peter's favor. Fast forward to the villains all escaping, because Peter takes them all to Aunt May's house. And of course, Willem Dafoe turns on everybody and becomes the Green Goblin, releases everybody, and plot twist, kills Aunt May. And what was a very, very deep scene. Absolutely. And when I talked to my daughter about it, I told her, and she was like, "Why, Dad?" I was like, because it's a loss Spider-Man unfortunately has to go through to fully become Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It just is
sadly inevitable.
Yep. And so she dies. Peter goes to grieve. Goes on top of this building to go grieve. In the process of that, Ned discovers that he can do magic. Ned discovers that he can open portals. And so Ned grabs a little portal maker and says, "Show me Peter Parker."
And he gets Peter Parker.
Only it's the amazing Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield looks back and comes through the portal, and they're like, holy, and for some odd reason, MJ decides to throw bread at him. To do something spidery. So he jumps up on the roof with one hand, sticks himself to the roof, and the grandma comes out and tells him, "Can you get the cobweb over there?
That cobweb, bro."
Oh man, it was one of the cutest little scenes in the movie.
No, and remembering that still in the MCU, there is no Spidey senses.
Yeah.
So the Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, is completely fucking baffled when she says, "Do you have a Peter tingle?" Because there is no fucking Spidey sense in the MCU, and there was never one established at any fucking point.
Yes. Okay. So from there we go to them opening up another hole and looking for Peter Parker, except we get Tobey Maguire in street clothes. Not in his Spider-Man suit like Andrew Garfield, but in street clothes. And hilarity ensues is all I can really say. Hilarity
God, it's great.
ensues. The conversations between those two. But like I said, here's where the aging comes in. Tobey Maguire has aged. Despite the fact that all the villains have not, Tobey Maguire's character has. So he's effectively old man Peter.
Yes. Essentially, yeah. He's old man Peter. And this is actually something I'm really glad was touched on, because it's often touched on in the different Spider-Verse type stories. And it was, if you want to compare it to anything, you'll notice this version of Peter is actually kind of akin to older slouchy Peter in Spider-Verse, who's older, chubbier, doesn't really know what he's doing as much anymore because he's lost fucking everything. You'll notice Tobey Maguire more or less kind of fits that role in this movie a little bit, as he goes on and talks about the different tragedies and everything that he's lost. You'll notice he really is kind of that Peter for this movie. And that is the intensive purpose. That is exactly what they mean to do here. And I love that. There isn't any other role that I think he could have fit in.
And let's give props to Marvel. Ultimate fan service, giving us Garfield, Maguire, and Holland all in the same movie.
All fan service.
All fan service, and we appreciate it. So we get to basically what they decide to do is they decide to find a cure for everybody, which they do, of course, because it's three scientific minds like Peter Parker.
Exactly.
But I love the fact that they did give us our Spider-Man meme.
They're all pointing at each other.
Yeah. When Zendaya was like, Peter. And they all look up, who? Me, you, him.
They all start pointing at each other.
Peter. Yeah. I was like, okay, good. Bravo.
Thank you. You did the thing. You did the thing.
You did the thing. Exactly. Andrew Garfield definitely played his part up.
Absolutely.
Huge moment for him in the final battle scene when he catches MJ.
God, no, the face he makes, and she's just like, "Are you okay?" And he just kind of weakly ekes out, like,
"Yeah, I'm good."
Like, no, that shit hit right there, because you can tell that's like the way that they wrote it and the way that he saved her. It's one of those things where you can tell he's a character who's experienced something, and then the basis of his character after that point is the fact that he's never been able to stop replaying that moment in his head over and over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
And 100%. Everything about their reaction and the way that scene was written was exactly that. It was fucking bueno.
Muy bueno. Muy bueno. Yeah, they gave us everybody being fixed. Basically, Connors was given the cure for the lizard juice. Electro was shut off. Sandman was turned back into a human. Who else? There were 5 of them, right?
Doc Ock was cured of being in control, being in control of his spinal column, and then it eventually all comes down to Goblin, who gets in this big one-on-one fight with Tom Holland at this point. And it's probably one of the best. I didn't even get to say it. Goblin probably has the best combat scenes of any fucking MCU character, using pure fucking Roy rage to double leg underhook, and he literally fucking powerbomb Spider-Man at one point in this movie. Do not forget that. Literally fucking powerbomb Spider-Man, using Roid rage throughout the entirety of this movie to just chuck him around up until the very fucking end of this movie.
And also don't forget that William Dafoe did all of his own stunts.
Yeah, he agreed to this so that he could do his own stunts.
Yeah.
Let that be known.
But big time, we saw him and Tobey Maguire get into it, and we saw the emotion come out of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because he wanted to kill him because he killed Aunt May. Like he was done with this shit. Fuck being nice. We can't let these motherfuckers live no more. Like that's exactly what his look said. And unfortunately, Tobey Maguire ends up getting killed by
doesn't he get killed?
Well, he gets stabbed.
I was gonna say he gets stabbed. He doesn't die though.
Yeah. So by Willem Dafoe, while he's preventing Tom Holland from killing him,
from fucking murking Green Goblin.
And so Tom Holland goes up and has a conversation with Doctor Strange, who's figured out that the only way to salvage everything and to not break the multiverse is to just erase everybody's mind flat and over, no exceptions. And when he does that, it puts everybody else back in their own universe. Okay. Beautiful scene with Doctor Strange at the top of the Statue of Liberty, which was getting a Captain America shield added to it for some random reason. But yeah, so like wipes everybody's minds to prevent the multiverse from fracturing and all the villains from everywhere coming in. And so even though I think a few got through before he did that, I can almost feel it, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I say, but yeah, so he did that, and he Doctor Strange does that. He gets to say his goodbyes to MJ, gets his kiss, gets to say his goodbye to what was Ned, who had one of the funniest moments in the movie when he turned around as Peter and said, "Peter, don't worry, I will never ever go evil and turn on you, my friend." Peter's like,
and then looking over and winking at Andrew like that was the right thing to say in front of Tobey fucking Maguire.
But and then he wipes everybody's mind. You get a cute scene at the very end where he goes to visit MJ and he wants to tell her everything, but decides to
just get his coffee and go.
Yep. Leaving them to do whatever they need to do.
Yep. And so we finish off with Spider-Man arguably having the cleanest slate that Spider-Man can have, where he is left with no friends, no family, no home, and a shitty little apartment in New York with just a police tracker and a costume that looks exactly like the Amazing Comics debut that he had like in the 60s. And so there's a lot of people that are saying like, oh, Spider-Mans are so happy that he set such a low point. No. Spider-Man fans are happy that Peter Parker is relatable again. Because I've said it before and I'll say that shit again. Spider-Man is at his most relatable when he is in a shitty little rundown apartment with no friends and no family and an empty Arizona can in his fucking fridge. That is when Spider-Man is at his best and most relatable.
No, okay. Here's the only issue I have with that whole thing there is I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you mean to tell me Tony Stark didn't leave the boy that he considered his son some kind of trust when he died? Like Pepper's not taking care of Peter. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's erased from everything, though. Everybody. Nobody knows who Peter is anymore.
But no, I was talking about kind of before all of that. Like it just kind of blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
You mean
like
that he was so low before that point in the events of the movie before he was forgotten? You know what? I'll take that. That's fair.
You know, but it is what it is. So the end of the movie comes around. He goes into his apartment. Blam. We're going to stop there because we're actually over time.
We'll come back then. We'll come back.
And then we'll come back to the mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene.
And the end-credit scene.
After break, and then we're going to talk the episode 6 season finale of Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So you're listening to or watching the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or you can find us on YouTube on the Double KK Double Network. So till after the break, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Howdy, folks. This is Double KK Double here. I'm here to tell you all about the 486 Presents Radio Network. On this network, we have a plethora of shows going on, sometimes once a month, sometimes every other week, sometimes once a week. It's all kinds of schedules going on around here. But what we're going to start with is the Now versus Then Network. Now versus Then is comprised of a man by the name and co-founder of this particular network by the name of The Saint and his collective of hosts that help him bring to you the hottest topics, bring to you some of the greatest discussions, and bring to you some of the greatest music, independent music on the West Coast, hell, possibly even on the East Coast. So check out The Saint on Now versus Then. Now versus Then West, and Now versus Then Deuce. These shows air on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or Monday nights right here on the 4H Presents Radio Network on Spreaker.com and or Live 365 starting here in the next couple of weeks. All right, so the other part of the 4H Presents Radio Network I want to tell you about was a show by the name of the Mr. Deacon Experience. Starring Mr. Deacon himself. Deacon takes you on a ride talking about his Browns, talking about sports, talking about some of the hottest topics within the communities that surround us on a weekly basis, on a regular basis, I should say. So tune in to him on Saturday nights at 8. Now, the next part of the network is a few shows, some of which you may recognize, some of which are right here on YouTube, and that is the Double K Double Network. That will be 4 shows starring me and a bunch of my other hosts, doing everything from sports to music. Let's start out with Double K's Classroom, which is my bi-weekly show where I talk sports and some of the hottest topics in sports. Like this week, I touched on the A-Rod situation, John Gruden situation. So be sure to tune into that on Friday night at 8. But every Friday night we have a show, but we will be alternating between Spreaker and Live 365. Double K's K-Double, or Double K's Classroom will air on Spreaker every Friday night at 8. Or every other Friday night at 8. In the weeks in between Double K's Classroom, we will have KD5P. K-Double's 5th period music class, the show that will bring to you music from multiple generations, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s on Live 365 every other Friday at 8 p.m. So be sure to tune into those shows. The next show that we have is the Cheap Pop Podcast. The Cheap Pop Podcast airs right here on YouTube as well as on Spreaker.com. It's a weekly show that alternates between talking pro wrestling and everything involved with that, from WWE to AEW, etc., to talking movies, entertainment, comic books, television shows, animated television shows, etc. You think about it, we probably talk about it. So that's on Sundays at 5 p.m. And then every other Sunday, the final show on this network stars me, The Duel, and Heather O'Malley, which, by the way, Cheap Pop Podcast also stars Alpha, a young man out of Sacramento. All right. And then, yes, the West Coast Bias with me, The Duel, and O'Malley talking sports every other week right here on the 4H Presents Radio Network. We go on live at 6 p.m. And yeah, that's so you guys be sure to tune in to the 4H Presents Radio Network. And be sure to keep watching the YouTube show that you're probably watching right now if you're seeing this video. So hi. Get back to it with either Double K's Classroom or the Cheap Pop Podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying. Peace. Hey, and we're back. That's me, Double K, Double, that pretty face. See that pretty face, that Gatorade face. I want to say it's here once again with the one and only Alpha. What's up, my young brother? How you doing?
Yep. We're back, and we're going to be on the flip side of this comic book shit. We're going to be finish up our in-depth talk here of No Way Home with the last two scenes of this film, the mid-credit scene and the end-credit scene, which were fucking awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so let's start with that mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene led to what I'm going to express is my biggest disappointment of this movie. Despite the teaser at the end of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, with Venom, arriving in the MCU and licking the TV with Tom Holland on it. Venom did not appear anywhere in No Way Home. He evidently stayed on whatever island he was on and kicked it there and decided to go to the bar and was talking to the bartender. And I'll admit that there was some great lines in there, like the one with
scene,
when he's like, yeah, and the green guy, what'd you call him again? The Hulk. That name is stupid. that had me dying, but the fact that pretty much like Venom showed up to just disappear, but the bigger impact upon the MCU is that Venom left a piece of him in the bar, a piece of the symbiote to go find a host. Now, will it be the MCU's Tom Hardy that it finds?
No.
Or will it be another person playing Eddie Brock that they find in this particular? What do you think, sir?
My running is that they're going to go to ye old reliable with Venom. And although it's not an option a lot of people might not like, I personally don't even really like it that much. Flash Thompson has always traditionally been the singular host of Venom.
Okay.
And we do have a Flash Thompson in the MCU.
We do.
So there are teases of him being more important, and that would make sense if Venom were to go straight to him. Not only that, but Venom once again feeds on an hatred and jealousy of Spider-Man, who is the more jealous person of Spider-Man in the entirety of the MCU besides Flash Thompson, right?
Yeah.
That all being said, I agree completely. Probably the single most disappointing thing about this movie was easily the fact that Venom kind of showed up and then left without any real fanfare. Didn't really do much. I would have loved to see him do something, especially considering the Sinister Six wasn't even formed in this movie. There was only 5 villains. There was no 6th villain. There was no, despite the teases, there was no Mysterio as the leader. There was no Hobgoblin, although there were teases of that.
Yeah.
But there was no Sinister Six, including up and limited to Venom.
Yeah.
No Venom.
100%. So now what will happen with that? Who knows? We'll see. But I definitely like the fact that it was there, and like I said, some of the dialogue there. Now, on a quick side note, before we jump into the post credits scene, there has been talk that Venom will appear because they're in a movie with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
Really?
Yes, that Andrew Garfield will be the Spider-Man that faces off with Tom Hardy's Venom.
I'm into that.
They will make that Venom canon in the Amazing Spider-Man universe. Yeah. Therefore, there's talk that we may be getting an Amazing Spider-Man 3 finally with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
Which at this point, I'm down for it.
Fingers crossed.
Right.
But the post-credit scene was basically an extended trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes. Ah, man.
Everything about it was beautiful. We got introduced to who basically is going to be our villains, our major villains for this thing in Mordo and evil Doctor Strange.
Shuma fucking Gorath.
Yes.
That big green tentacle monster that you saw? Yeah, that's Shuma Gorath. He's a big fucking interdimensional fuck. As powerful as Dormammu. He's fucking crazy. That's Shuma Gorath. He's another fucking villain. But yes, we finally get
Oh,
the actual real
3.
villain debut of Baron fucking Mordo, who is great.
Oh. Marvel, I just want to thank you for delivering on just about every movie and television show that you have given us since the
Ah,
inception of the MCU.
right.
Like
Not
everyone is
even,
built.
not even up and including to the confirmation of America Chavez as well in that trailer. America Chavez is
Yes,
confirmed.
yes. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful, man. We got She-Hulk coming up around the corner. Like, yeah,
Right.
I think Doctor Strange is in March, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's in March, April. Doctor Strange has got to be one of the most anticipated movies of the year outside of No Way Home. And let me say this about No Way Home in closing. It delivered on every single level it possibly could. I don't know if I'd
Yeah.
call it the best Marvel movie ever,
I
but I
wouldn't go
think
that far.
it's up there. It's in that top 5 for sure.
I was gonna say I would hold it in my top 5 personally. I would. I would say that at this point right now.
Um, because for me, I'll say it. For me, number 1 is Endgame. Like, and the Endgame will
Yeah.
always be my favorite Marvel movie of all time. It gave me everything I could have possibly wanted, plus some. Um, but Spider-Man, no way. I can't really think of a movie that I would truly put over Spider-Man No Way Home. Like,
I feel that.
It gave us everything. It gave us fan service. It gave us a good script. It gave us a great movie. Yeah, there were some plot holes, but
Exactly.
every movie has plot holes. And
Exactly.
it gave us, yeah.
Exactly. No, there were some moments that were no doubt for me definitely bordering along lines of just purely fan service. But
Yeah.
that's not to say it was bad even. I enjoyed
Yeah.
everything I saw. I'm not going to sit here and ask continuously for more, but I wish there were some threads that they didn't just completely drop. That being said, this movie was fucking great all in all. It might be one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. It's not my favorite Spider-Man movie, and it's not my
Yeah.
favorite Marvel movie, but is it fucking great? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say it's one of the best of either of those categories, but it was fucking great, and I loved it.
I have to tell you this one last thing. Zendaya, MJ, whatever you want to call her, is the cutest little thing when she's jumping in front of Peter, like she gonna do something. She is just the most adorable little thing. She jumps out there and gets some little fist up and
Yeah.
oh, little baby, what you gonna do? What the hell you gonna do? Oh, put your hands down, baby. Put
That's
your
good.
hands down.
Knowing Spider-Man could just fucking throw buildings. Right.
Anyway, all right. So Spider-Man No Way Home, A+. I'm pretty sure we both recommended everybody go see it. If you're a fan of Marvel, go see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into what Marvel's been doing on TV, and that's Hawkeye. Now we took you on Hawkeye run last week all the way through, I believe, episode 5, right?
Oh, and so right up to episode 5.
Yeah. And we wrapped up episode 5 finding out that Kingpin was in cahoots with Eleanor Bishop because evidently her dad owed Kingpin a lot of money when he died. And so she worked for him
Yeah.
to pay it off. Yeah, man. Episode 6 gave
Delivered
us,
on that fucking promise.
delivered on everything. Everything. Now let's get the elephant in the room out the way. I spoke about this earlier. I'm going to speak about it one more time now. I don't think that Kingpin is dead. For
Yeah.
the most obvious reason in the world. You don't kill a character off screen unless you're planning on maybe bringing them back.
I was gonna say, not only is this just a fucking show, it's a comic book show. And so I ask you the question, did we see a body?
No.
Absolutely not. Exactly. That's a thread that they're always going to leave hanging. And it's always best to do that. You know, it would have been horrible fucking idea to kill him off the next episode of. But no, more, there's a lot of reasons, but Kingpin's not fucking dead. Kingpin is not that easy to kill either.
I think Kingpin pops back up in Echo.
Yeah.
Just
easily.
by the way that everything went down.
Yeah.
But let me say this right now. Everybody that had anything to do with Hawkeye, thank you. That entire series was like one big long Marvel movie. And I was happy with it. I was happy with the finale. I was happy with the conversation and the fight between Yelena Belova and Hawkeye.
Fucking Hawkeye, which was awesome. That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it tugged at your heartstrings, man.
It fucking did.
Straight up tugged at your heartstrings. You know, like because you felt that Hawkeye was like, look, dude, I'm not really trying to fight you. Like I feel your pain. Like I miss Natasha.
I'm mourning with you.
Yeah. You know, and he seems to think, or she seems to think that Hawkeye killed her. I'm glad that she didn't get to or continue to want to kill Jeremy Renner. I wonder how that's going to work with Val.
Exactly.
That's going to be interesting to see.
We've never had Elena Belova face turn, so I'm into this.
I did like the fact that Kate couldn't even come close to hanging with Kingpin. Like she basically got mollywopped. Like
no, I was gonna say I enjoy that a lot actually, because let me remind people again that in terms of physicality, the Kingpin, it should be kept in mind that in every carnation of him, it does not matter how he looks, Kingpin is like 99% fucking muscle and 1% body fat. Mm-hmm. That big motherfucker he is not out of shape. He can fucking destroy shit, and that has never been more represented by him literally just fucking annihilating Kate Bishop.
Just wow.
No, it's the same shit as in Spider-Verse. You know, Miles was never able to physically best Kingpin. He didn't at any point in the movie. He literally needed the help of all the Spider-Man and a fucking singularity, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas Kate Bishop had her surroundings here.
And she used them too well enough to get them away. Like, but let me say this. Jack, I didn't like you. I still don't like you. But you know what? You're pretty fucking cool, dude. Like real talk. Like Jack was at the end of that. Jack was my dog. Ha ha. What?
So fucking good.
It's just time. What? What? Not Jack.
God, it's so good. No, it was great. No, I love this. I wouldn't, I not to go into the grand scheme of it, but I still would not hold this as being better than Loki, but it was good.
Yeah, but it was good. It was good. Like I said, it was its own little entity. Just like every absolutely. Marvel television show has been, like their own little entity. But that was a great part. And then give me an entire show of Yelena Belova and fucking and Haley Steinfeld as those two characters, like Kate Bishop and Yelena Belova and Florence Pugh. Like Florence, give me those two girls because they play so well off each other. Like they're hilarious. They're just fucking hilarious.
Absolutely.
Love the rep and the LARP players.
Yes.
Like that was awesome. Representing the LARPers.
Yes, sir.
They was coming through.
Shit was good.
Tracksuit Mafia guys were hilarious.
Tracksuit Mafia was fucking great.
But at the end of the day, of course, Hawkeye and Kate Bishop have a kick-ass scene where they just are shooting around and kicking everybody's ass. I love that.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the major reveal at the close. At the close of episode 6, Hawkeye, Cliff Barton, officially gets to go home and be with his family for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
To which he proceeds to give the watch that was disappearing and getting found and disappearing and getting found back to his wife. And promptly says, next time, don't lose it. And you see the back of the watch. Now, see, I had to go do some digging to find this out. But inscribed on the back of the watch is, of course, well, a SHIELD logo, which now retcons Clint Barton's wife as a SHIELD agent.
Yeah.
But inscribed upon the back of the watch was Agent 19, otherwise known as Mockingbird. So here's the only problem with that. And this is what I read from the article. In the comic books, Mockingbird is actually Bobby Morse.
Yeah.
Who was represented in the original Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television show. I believe I actually heard in watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. today, because I just saw the episode where Bobby Morse and Hunter leave S.H.I.E.L.D. But they do call her Bird. So her call sign very well could have been Mockingbird.
Yeah.
But at this point in the MCU, Laura Burton may have been Mockingbird, or Laura Barton may have been Mockingbird. That was huge. Like, that was a huge reveal that went by in a quick little second.
Exactly. It was very small, and it's not the world's largest or the world's changing, but it is so fucking interesting because it's one of those things that's been right under our nose this whole fucking time. That means.
Yep. So let's hope Hawkeye gets another season. We know that Loki's getting another season. I believe they said Falcon and the Winter Soldier is getting a second season.
Yeah.
We noticed Scarlet Witch, that WandaVision was just a one-off.
Yeah, WandaVision was a one-off, sadly.
Let's hope Hawkeye gets a second season. The next big thing is Book of Boba Fett, which starts
you're right.
tomorrow.
You're right. Book of Boba starts. Holy shit.
Yep. Day after tomorrow. So
you're right.
Looking forward to that. Now, and at the end of this week, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Cobra Kai.
You're right. We get new fucking Cobra Kai.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about next in about 3 weeks when we do the next comic book episode.
You're right.
So not to mention the Flash will be back by then, and yeah. So anyway, so yeah, man. So that's that. So I did have a recommendation. Kevin's recommendation.
Well, I don't have a recommendation, so you can roll us off with that one.
All right. So I actually got a couple of different recommendations. If you're ever having a nostalgia night, and by the way, the new Matrix movie is another one we'll review on the next comic book episode too, possibly.
Of course, yeah.
But I did some binge viewing yesterday of some movies. There's several of them I'd like to recommend. The original Matrix, rewatch that. That was a dope ass movie. Has one of my favorite lines. He said, "You telling me I can dodge bullets? I'm telling you, when the time comes, Neo, you won't have to."
I know kung fu.
Yes, I know kung fu. Yeah. Show me. Yeah, that was what shit. Anyway, the original Todd McFarlane live action Spawn movie starring Michael Jai White, Martin Sheen, and John
John
Leguizamo.
Leguizamo.
Yes. And yes, it was, and also Teresa Randall, who would go on to star in the Bad Boy movies as Martin Lawrence's wife. In all three of them
from Bad Boys.
Yeah, like, oh man. So like, yeah, it was a great movie to watch. And then lastly, a movie called Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, that's not the last one. The last one is 10 Things I Hate About You. With all of these are free on either Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max.
Things I Hate About You. Who's in that one?
Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles.
Love that one. Yeah.
And Gabrielle Union is in it. And yeah, like it was a great. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it. A very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And then a movie I'm about to check out soon that I suggest everybody else check out too, and this will be the last one, I promise. Can't Hardly Wait. With Jennifer Love Hewitt and probably several other people that you know if you saw them. But yeah, so movie binge. And just random movie. A random movie real quick is 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity in a blue dress on a girl with a devil tattoo. I don't know like what the whole name was, but it was some shit like that. It was a spoof comedy horror movie like that was just over the top funny. If you can, it's on Amazon, it's free. You should check it out. It's fucking hilarious.
I'm into it.
So, all right. So Alpha, take us home, brother, on this last word.
All right. You know how it goes, my people. Thank you for joining us. What is this? The day after Christmas. This post-Christmas episode right before the new year, joining us to talk about No Way Home and some of the comic shit. So this is our second episode of Comics in a Row. So next time around, we're going to talk about some sweaty men, some fucking wrestling. Thanks for joining us around and coming in today. Peace.